Yo, 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 welcome. Good morning, man. We back again. It is officially a Tuesday morning, and we are about to check out this crazy world we call the SPY, man. Y'all really got to see what the SPY was up to in the pre-market and the post-market. It's just crazy what we got going on with the SPY, right? So let's look at it and let's see what we got here. So look at the charts, man. So let's go take a look at the charts. See. Okay. So on yesterday we had a pre-market high of 767.19, pre-market low of 763.50. Previous day low of 764.18, which fell in between, like I said, the pre-market high and the pre-market low. Then you had the previous day high of 767.84. Now, if SPY was to come up and push past the pre-market as it was pushing back up, if it broke up and held above the 764.18, which would have been the first level because it was the pre-market, the previous day low, then we was going to look for SPY to target that pre-market high of 767.19. Then we have to stop at 767.84, which would be the pre-market, the previous day's high. Then we was going to be looking for SPY to push up to 769, 77, 772, and 774. And then on the bearish side, if SPY was going to go up and reject off of the 764.18 during the pre-market, and then we was going to look for a target at 763.50, and then we was going to look at 762, 760, 758, and 756. Now, if SPY was to break and hold above that pre-market, that's previous day low of 764.18, you understand? And then it is not able to break past the 767.84, then we was going to be targeting 765.50 and 764.18. Okay? And then from there, we were going to be pushing down into those other levels in the previous that we spoke about with the bearish push down if it did not break above that 764.18. So now let's look at the chart and see what SPY did in this crazy world that we live in, right? So in the pre-market at around 7 o'clock, you see SPY broke below the pre-market low that we had already set, and it pushed down and it made a pre-market low here of 763. And I call this the pre-market, but like I said, they started some earlier trading on some of these options, which is going to bring more trading in the pre-market, in my honest opinion. But it pushed up 765.23, and then it came down and it consolidated all the way into the market open. And from there we had 764.80 where it went up to, but then it pushed all the way down to 762.08. And once it did that, it pushed up, but it consolidated right here around 763.98, which is a $2 move, honestly. Then you got 764.12 before it pulled back down again, and we got this low of 762.37. And from there, it pushed all the way up to 765, 765.23, which well from there, from that 762 level, that's a $3 move, which is not a bad play if you were in that. And then from there, you could have played puts off that 765.23 back down to 763.11, and then it came back again and tried to get back up here to the into the 765 area, where after, because you know, as established this high right here today, it tried to get back up and test that 765.23, but it couldn't get there, and then it came down before it closed the day out at 763.72. Now once it closed that day, it really consolidated, really, because that's a tight little range overnight, closing at 8 o'clock at 763.65, and then you see this jump. it jumped up to 764.40, and that's when it opened up in the pre-market. So it jumped from 763.60 to 764.40, almost a dollar move. But it made a move all the way up to 768.01. That's a $4 move. Right now it's 6:33 a.m. You see it starting to pull back a little, but that's a $4 move. That's a pretty nice jump right there. So that's what we got in the spot. So let's look at the chart for today, man. I'm looking at that thing. Got me looking over there. Y'all see that over there going on in the pre-market? Y'all see that? While we get ready to set this chart for today, y'all see that? That's a nice little $4 move after that dollar gap up. And you see it broke through the previous levels. That purple line is a previous day high from Friday. You can see over here. So it broke through that. Now we got to see what's going to happen, because it got some pullback area. Let's see. It can pull back to a few places up in here. Okay, got some areas it can pull back to. Broke through one of them. That was from yesterday, previous pre-market high. So, and it's starting to push down a little bit. We got right now the high today from yesterday right there in that area. So it could be coming back to retest that. But with so much time left in the market, and then you got them early traders coming in, we could see some big moves happen right up in there. So that's what we'll be looking at. So hold on one second here. Let's look at the chart for today. Alright, so for today we got a previous day high of 765.23, previous day low of 762.08. Pre-market high currently is 768.01, pre-market low is 764.40. So what we'll be looking at is spot can hold or reclaim the 765.23 area. Because right now it's currently, above that. As you can see, it's right here in the 766 area. So if spot can reclaim and hold that area, then what we'll be looking at is getting in somewhere around the 766.50 to 768.01 area. Now that is in our price chop zone, but if it holds above that 765.23, which is the previous day's high, because it's coming down a little bit, you can see that if it holds above that and pushes up, then we got to look at 766.50 and then 768.01, and then based off the pre-market high, if it was to break all the way above that and hold back up, then we're looking at 769, 770, 772, and 774. Now, for the bearish side of this thing, what we'll be looking at, if we get a rejection out of the 768.01, which you saw just then on the chart, it came up and it tested it, and it hadn't retested it yet, but it did go up and it established that high. But if you get that and you can't stay above the VWAP, and you get some lower highs, what we're looking at is target 766.50 back down to the 765.23 area, which is the previous day high. And then from there, we're looking at 764.40, which is the pre-market low, 763, 762.08, 760, and 758. And that's what we'll be looking at today in our spot trade. Now, if for any reason you don't feel comfortable trading something, then don't make the trade. I think that, it's pre-market and everything that's moving around in the market and everything. I just tell people, you probably just want to be careful. It's not financial advice, but probably just some common sense to just be careful right now, because there's so much volatility, and let the chart tell you what to do. Don't go in there with no bias. As you can see right now, clearly in the pre-market, that little gap up, and then you can see where it ran up and tried to get cover some ground and take up some space, but it pushed back down, and SPY and all these tickers, they test and retest. So you could be seeing a retest coming up where it'll come back and retest, and then from there it pushes up. You just never know until it starts establishing what it's going to do, and you start reading some of these candles and what's going on the chart. But in the meantime, stay disciplined, mind your levels, and if you have any concerns, don't get in the trade. Now, this is not financial advice. These are some ideas from a person who trade every day. Now, do your thing, have fun, try to make some money, and then try not to over-risk when you don't have to. And let's do it, man. This Power Plays Palace. It's your boy, man. We out of here.